Haptics in VR are really cool, and even a little bit can go a long way. Take controllers for example. They just vibrate. But if that vibration wasn't there, a lot of things would feel really weird. Wouldn't it be nice to have that same haptic feedback on your full body trackers as well? If you already have a set of Vive trackers, you can actually add vibration for around $20 for your entire set. These are Haptic Pancakes, little discs that just sit under your trackers and give them vibration. They're super cheap to make, super easy to make, and just as easy to set up. They do unfortunately only work with VRChat and Resonite, but like, what else are y'all using your full body tracking for? Let's be honest. The design specific to HTC's Lighthouse trackers is extremely simple. This is a DIY project, and that scares a lot of people, but they're so incredibly easy to make that I don't think you could really mess anything up. All you have to do is strip the wires on the motor, put the wires and motor into place on the 3D printed pancake, and then press the wires in with the M3 nuts. From there, whenever you go to put your tracker back on the strap, you just have to put the Haptic Pancake under it, and when you screw it down, the nuts get pressed into the pogo pins. That is literally it. The 3D print itself is also super simple. It took me less than an hour to do 3 of them. You literally just print them flat. I also did have to end up scaling mine up by about 1% so that everything could actually press into it. My $20 estimate only applies to HTC's Lighthouse trackers. But what if you're using Tundras? Well, it is still possible, but it's just more expensive. Tundra trackers don't have the pogo pins on the bottom of them, so you actually need to buy a separate board for each tracker that has the vibration motor put into it. Then you can just plug it into the tracker and it'll work. This does work out to be about $10 per tracker, which sucks, but I mean, that isn't the most expensive upgrade you could do to your setup. In theory, Haptic Pancakes should also work with Vive Ultimate trackers, but I'm not sure if anyone's done that and shared how to yet. So what does this little add-on even accomplish? Well, it adds vibration to your trackers. Without running the software, the only thing this does is make your tracker vibrate when you turn it on. To be fair, this is a nice little bit of feedback to have. With the Haptic Pancake Bridge software though, you're able to communicate with VRChat or Resonite over OSC to cause your trackers to vibrate when specific parts of your avatar get touched. For VRChat, you do need a little bit of Unity setup, but it isn't that hard, and that's coming from someone who hates working with Unity. Basically, all you have to do in it is add VRC contact receivers to the spots you want your trackers to vibrate when they get touched. The Haptic Pancakes GitHub page has a nice little guide on how to set all this up and what settings you need to toggle. And here's a quick Unity tutorial in case you don't know what you're doing based off that wiki guide. So the first thing we need to do is find the bones that we're putting the haptics on. If you're just using like 3.5 tracking, that'll be your waist and one on each of your feet or your ankles. But like if you have elbow trackers or knee trackers or a chest tracker, well then you're gonna need to put them there too. But we're just gonna set up one on a foot for now, so I'm gonna select my left foot bone. And then from here we can add a contact receiver. You're gonna need to mess with the size, so I mean change that to a capsule, and then you can change the radius and height, but I'm not gonna bother with that right now because it takes a while to get it right. So then we're gonna wanna disable allow self under filtering, and we wanna keep allow others. And then we need to add collision tags, and this just says like what on other people's avatars will be able to trigger our haptics. So like, you probably want maybe like head, hand, foot, maybe finger. I don't know how VRChat's like stuff works, what the difference between hand and finger is. So we're just gonna put hand for now. And then we're gonna change the receiver type to proximity. From here, we need to name the parameter. So name this something you're gonna remember. I'm gonna name it left foot haptic. Because from here, we need to go over to our avatar and go into our parameters menu. Oh, I had it down here. Well, whatever. Open it, and then we need to add a parameter called, since we just made one left foot haptic, we need to make a left foot haptic parameter. Then from here, you want it set to float with a default of 0, and then you want to make sure these two boxes are not checked. And then yeah, You don't want it saved and synced. Yeah, those are the boxes. And then yeah, you just have to do that for every single spot you want haptics to be able to be triggered. And make sure you remember the parameter names you used, because you're gonna need to put those into the Haptic Pancakes software for things to actually work. But yeah, really not that bad of a setup, so have fun. There is a little bit more you have to do before you can actually use things in game though. It's not hard. It's just adding the OSC addresses for the parameters you created to actually drive them inside of the Haptic Pancakes bridge app. That is a one and done ordeal if you're someone who wears the same tracker on the same spot every time you play. From there, you can hop on VRChat or Resonate, put on your avatar, and whenever someone touches you in the specific spots you set up, it'll trigger a vibration. Don't expect these things to be like the level of vibration you would get with a haptic vest, where some of them are like capable of causing pain. These are just simple vibrations, similar to what you'd get in your controller. They're not much, but they're there, and they definitely can add to your experience and make things feel a little bit more immersive. There are settings in the bridge app you can change if you want to mess around with the feel of your haptics. These are what the creator uses, so that's what I use. Unfortunately, you aren't really able to trigger your own haptics, since most of the time your receiver is going to be inside of a sender, meaning there is constant contact. And if there's constant contact, you don't get any feedback at all. There are ways to set it up apparently, but I'm unsure of how, and the Haptic Pancakes wiki does not go into that. Like I said, I really hate working with Unity. I don't think there's a guide on how to set these up for Resonate, but I don't think it would be that hard to find someone on there who knows how to send data to an OSC address. The GitHub page also doesn't mention Chill Out VR, but I don't see why it wouldn't be compatible in some way, since Chill Out does natively support OSC now. Haptic Pancakes are a fun little project, and you can't really complain too much about their capabilities with how easy they are to make and how cheap they are. All in all, it'll probably take you less than an hour, not including print time, to set everything up. If you're someone who plays a lot of VRChat or Resonate and you use compatible trackers for full body tracking, then you really should consider building yourself some Haptic Pancakes. If you made it this far in this video and enjoyed it, then you should consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps me a lot. Plus I kinda wanna hit 10,000 by the end of the year, but I think that probably requires uploading more than once a month. Well, I will be doing that. I have some pretty cool stuff coming up, and I don't think you'll wanna miss it. These are Haptic Pancakes. What the fuck? These are Haptic Pancakes. Little discs that just sit under your trackers and give them vibration. They're super easy to make, super cheap. That's a ZZZ app.